My name's Hillary, and today we're going to do a lower back gentle flow for anybody that has lower back pain. Maybe you're trying to stretch it out a little bit, build a little bit of strength in your core and in your lower back. This is Dexter. He might pop in and out throughout today's filming. That's alright. Anyways, this is a lower back gentle flow for lower back pain, maybe for you to warm it out, stretch it out, maybe to build a little bit of strength. So I've got a couple of props. So one is a strap. This is just a yoga mat strap that I have, but you could use a belt or a towel or anything that worked. I also have two blocks. If you don't have blocks, no big deal. You can use, I have a hearth here, you could use a sofa, you could use a wall, whatever you have. You could also use two big books or something like that. Lots of different options. Just find something to help give you a little bit of support. All right, so we're going to get started in child's pose. So knees wide, feet together, and you're going to slowly lower down. So if you need to, you can put a block and rest your forehead on the block and just settle in, allowing your lower back to release. If you find that you've put the block too high, you can always move it down to a lower level or remove it completely. Inhale and exhale. Soften hips to heels. And one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Soften hips to heels. Slowly, slowly, slowly press yourself up into a tabletop position. Stack shoulders over wrists and hips over knees. And we're just going to flow through and wake up our spines a little bit. So inhale, lift your chest, look up, lift your tailbone. And exhale, push the mat away, draw in your lower belly. Squeeze. Inhale. Drop your belly. Lift your chest. Lift your tailbone. Exhale. Push the mat away. Draw in your lower belly. Curl your spine. Inhale. Rotate your shoulders so that the eyes of your elbows are pointing forward. Lift your chest. Lift your sits bones. And then exhale, rotate your shoulders so that the eyes of your elbows are pointing towards each other or pointing in. Draw in your lower belly, drop your head, tuck your chin. Inhale, lift it up, trying to do that whole motion. If there's any pain here, just take it as far as you can. And pause, slowly, slowly building up and opening up. One more round. Inhale. Exhale. And make your way into that neutral tabletop. We're going to push back into child's pose again. So knees wide, sink hips back, slowly move down. You can use that block or you can ditch it. Inhale. Exhale. If you don't need a block, you can totally ditch the block. That's fine too. We're going to walk hands over to the left side of your mat and pause and rest down. You want to inhale and fill up more air into that right side of your body, into your right lung as you're inhaling and exhaling to counts of 4. And walk your hands slowly back through center and over to the other side of the mat, so right side of the mat. Sink hips back. Lower your head back down to the block or to the mat. Inhale. Exhale, soften. Inhale.
Fill up the left side of your lungs. And exhale, release it down, soften your hips. Walk back hands through center and slowly push up into a tabletop position. And we're just going to lower down onto our bellies. So slowly make your way onto your belly. Place hands underneath your shoulders. Feet out long, untuck your toes. Keep looking forward, and then just gently lift up your back. Don't push up your back. You should be able to lift your hands up. So you want shoulders down your back, and you're engaging your lower back to lift up. And we're going to hold for 3, 2, 1. Lower down and rest. You can take hands by your sides if you want to. Rest on one ear if you want to. Just take a rest. Now, lift back up gently, placing hands underneath your shoulders. Again, do not press into the mat. We're just building strength in your lower back here. So inhale, lift up, roll shoulder blades down your back. You'll find you can lift a little higher when you do that. But again, I'm not pushing into the mat. I can lift my hands up and everything is fine. And inhale and exhale. Draw in that lower belly, don't just flop down there. And lower down. And rest, this time maybe rest on the opposite ear. Last time, coming back into that cobra pose. So roll shoulder blades down your back first, and then inhale, lift up, squeezing your lower back. Lift your hands if you're having problems not pushing off. And we're going to hold for 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. You can bend your knees and then slowly windshield wiper back and forth just to release that lower back a little bit. And lower your legs down, tuck your toes, push back up into that tabletop position. We're going to take 1 round of cat and cow. Inhale, lift your chest. And then exhale, curl your spine. Feel it releasing. Now we're going to do some spinal balance. So I'm going to show some modifications. You take whichever modification you need. So one, you can place your fingertips out in front of you. This is a modification. Another one is you just lift up that right hand. So I'm going to start in the modified option, but if you're already ready to advance, go ahead and lift that arm up. Then next you're going to take your left leg back, toes on the mat, just like this. So we want to draw in the lower belly. We've got a lot of stabilization here. To progress the leg, you're just going to lift it up. So you take whichever modification is right for you, and it could be a combination of the two. So it could be both hand and foot on the floor. It could be hand raised, foot on the floor, or it could be hand on the floor, foot raised, or it could be both up. So you take where you want to take, and we're going to hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower it down. So again, we're just going to switch sides, taking that modification. So hand out in front, toes on the floor. You can stay here. You can start to lift one hand. You can keep your hand there. You can start to lift your right foot back. Just flex those toes. You can lower that down. You can do the combination. Maintain that flat back, engaging your core, drawing in your lower belly. We're going to hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower it down. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your sits bones. Exhale, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, push the mat away, draw in your lower belly. And back to neutral spine. So one more time. Take whichever modification you need. Hand out, leg back. Hold here, or if you're ready, I'm going to take a modification with putting my hand down, and I'm going to draw this knee into my chest. And exhale, push it back. Inhale, exhale, knee towards your face. And inhale, push it back. One more time. Exhale, knee towards your face. And inhale, push it back. Back to neutral tabletop. Again, holding is perfectly okay instead of doing those, I don't know, spinal balance crunches, let's call them. So you can, perfectly okay to hold if you're not quite ready to do that motion, perfectly okay to take different modifications. So I'm going to take a different modification on this side for the first 2 rounds, and then I'll show you the full modification. So, right leg back, left hand forward. This time I'm going to leave my right leg back, and I'm just going to curl in with my hand. So hand extends up, and then exhale, curl it in. Draw in your lower belly. Inhale, extend out. Exhale, curl it in. And then for the full modification, extend both out. And you want to touch elbow to knee. Curl it in, draw it in, push the mat away. And inhale, extend out. Hands back down. Again, there's lots of modifications there. Slowly build up to that full elbow to knee, fully extended. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, curl your spine, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin, draw in your lower belly. Back to neutral. And we're just going to sink back into child's pose for just a moment. Find that block if you need it. Exhale down, rest forehead on a block. Inhale. And exhale it all out. One more time. Inhale. And exhale it out. Slowly push up. Slowly push up. Dexter, you're in the way. You're in the way. Scoot, bud. Scoot, bud. And hopefully your dog has not made a mess on your yoga mat. Okay, move it on. All right, now we're going to make our way back into a position, lying down position on our bellies. Scoot your boots. Sphinx pose. So you're propping up on your forearms. The elbows of your eyes are slightly in front of your shoulders. You're going to spread fingers wide. Gaze is slightly out in front of your fingertips. Inhale, lift up, pushing into those forearms. And then exhale, pull yourself through. Draw shoulder blades together, kind of like you're trying to pull yourself through your arms. Some people call it a zombie crawl. Keep breathing. You could push into the tops of your feet and lift up off your kneecaps off if that feels okay on your back. Otherwise, just leave your legs passive and keep drawing shoulder blades down your back. And then slowly lower down and push back into a tabletop position. And then just cross your ankles, walk back, and scooch forward until you're back on your mat. And then we're just going to slowly lower down. So we're lying on our back. Pull knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Rock side to side. And then put your knees down. Hips width apart. Flat on the floor. And then we're going to do some pelvic tilts. So you're going to draw in your lower belly, squeeze your glutes, and tilt your pelvis. So I'm going to move my hands up, but you can feel free to have your hands by your sides. But you want to just engage and squeeze and tilt. And then rest back down. Engage, draw in that lower belly, tilt, and rest down. One more time. You can also place your hands on your lower belly if you want to remind yourself to engage that area. So squeeze and tilt. So I'm using a little bit of my hamstrings, my lower back, my core, my glutes, and lower down. So now for full bridge pose, you can have your hands down by your sides, or I'm going to take an arm variation. And we're just going to move through bridges. We're going to start out with a static bridge, and then we're just going to inhale and exhale and flow through. So inhale, start with that pelvic tilt, and then slowly rise up until you're resting on your shoulders and the bottoms of your feet. And hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time, as slow as you can, engaging your abdomen. And rest down. So now I'm going to include that arm variation. So inhale, arms up, overhead. Squeeze at the top. And then exhale, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly, slowly lower down. And inhale up. And exhale down. And inhale up. And exhale down. One vertebrae at a time, slowly, slowly, slowly. Once you're down, pull knees into chest. Rock side to side, back and forth. And then we're just going to push up into a seated position and take a couple boat poses. So boat pose can be very intense, but there's lots of modifications. So we can keep feet on the ground. You can keep your hands behind you like this. Just keep lifting your chest up, drawing in your lower belly, and you want a really neutral spine. And then you can just lift one foot up and lower that back down. Lift the other foot up and lower that back down. And then maybe you tilt back and you lift both feet up. Maybe you keep toes on the mat, that's fine too. Just keep lifting your chest up, broadening that collarbone, drawing in the lower belly, keeping a neutral spine, and you can lift your feet up and lower back down. Another option is no hands. So you can take this option if you're ready for it. If you're not ready for it, repeat with your hands flat behind you. Otherwise, you can place hands behind your knees. Again, lift that chest up, flatten that back, draw in your belly, shift weight back, lift up one leg, put it down, lift up the other leg, put it down. You can keep doing that, or you can tilt back and lift your feet up a little bit, slowly working until you bring your legs up into a 90-degree angle. And then lower back down, cross your feet, give yourself a little hug. All right, now grab your strap or whatever else you were gonna grab. Towel, belt, any of those things work. Lower down onto your back, just make sure that strap's handy. Pull your right knee into your chest, give it a squeeze. Give it a little circle to the right and to the left, loosening it up. Then take that strap or towel, wrap it around your foot, and start to slowly extend up. Your knee might be bent like this, that's perfectly okay. You just want to keep sinking that right hip into the mat, and then maybe you start to slowly straighten if you have the hamstring flexibility. If you don't, no big deal, just stay there. You might feel this in your hamstring near your knee, you might feel it higher up, you might feel it a little bit in your lower back. Don't overdo it, just try to soften. Soften into the pose. Soften into straightening your leg. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Our exhales are telling our nervous system it's okay, soften that muscle, you can relax here, everything's fine. So just keep inhaling and exhaling, don't hold your breath. And slowly bend your knee back into your chest. And we're just gonna switch sides. So that foot down, left knee into your chest, give it a squeeze. Then slowly make some circles in one direction and then balance it out in the other direction. And then take your strap or towel, wrap it around the bottom of your foot and start to extend up. Perfectly okay if your knee is bent. Just start to lengthen that hamstring. Maybe as you're inhaling and exhaling, you find that you can straighten your leg a little more. Don't overdo it. No point in cranking it. Just let your body relax into it. And maybe you'll find eventually you can straighten that leg. Just try to settle. Keep allowing your left hip, your left side of your pelvis to rest into the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And slowly start to soften your knee. Ditch your strap and pull both knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze and drop knees over to the left. So you can stay like this with a slight twist in your spine. Or if it feels okay, you can start to drop that right shoulder onto the mat and extend that right arm out. And again, take it to wherever is okay for your back. And then eventually you can start to take your gaze to the right. I have my left hand on top of my right knee just to remind myself to relax, but if that's too much on your back, you can also just have your hand by your side. Your body, listen to what is hurting and what might feel good. And inhale, knees back into your chest. And drop them over to the other side, over to the right side. Again, you might stay in only a slight twisted position. Perfectly okay. As your back opens up, maybe you start to drop that left shoulder down. Maybe you start to extend that left hand. Maybe you start to look over to the left. Inhale. Exhale, soften your belly. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale, roll back onto the back of your spine. Pull those knees in. Drop feet to the mat. Then drop feet together, knees wide. And if this is hurting your knees in any way or anything else, you can use blocks or pillows or something to rest your knee up. And you're just going to slowly allow your sacrum to melt into the mat or into the floor. And just rest here for a moment. And slowly ease your knees back together. Once again, pull them into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And then rock or slowly push yourself up into a seated position. I hope you enjoyed this gentle flow for your lower back. Hopefully it helps. If you have any comments or feedback or suggestions, I'm always open to them. Just leave me a comment. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.